The Grammys missed an essential part of Prince. If you believed the promos during last night's Grammy Awards, and why wouldn't you? There were so many of them. The highlights were going to be the two memorials, the tributes to George Michael and Prince. We weren't going to believe what we saw. We weren't going to be able to contain ourselves. The George Michael tribute came first. James Corden, the ceremony's host, introduced Adele, who sang a slowed-down, powered-up version of Michael's Past Love. Midway through, Adele stopped. She was overcome by emotion. She turned her head and cursed. And then she restarted the song and finished it, with swooping dramatic vocals and impeccable presence. The tribute was what it should have been, and how much it mattered to you depended entirely on where you stand on Adele's talent and style. Millions of people stand with her, and, when she apologized for her profanity later on, all was forgiven. Even after the Michael segment, the show kept teasing the Prince tribute. Prince, who died last April, at 57, was at once one of the most virtuosic and prolific of record makers, and one of the most incendiary live acts in pop history. There are many landmark performances burned into people's brains. There's his performance of Get Off at the 1991 MTV Music Awards, with writhing backup dancers, and without rear panels in his pants. There's his Super Bowl halftime show from 2007, a ferocious mix of fire, his guitar heroics, and rain, not just the metaphorical purple kind, but actual precipitation. For any Prince obsessive, these are just the tip of the iceberg. Individual fans have their own favorite TV performances, concerts, and aftershows, not to mention B-sides, outtakes, and unreleased songs. So what's the best way to revive Prince's memory? The Grammys chose to stage a capsule version of Purple Rain, the semi-autobiographical 1984 movie that propelled him to megastardom. For starters, they brought out Morris Day and The Time, the band that played Prince's nemesis in the film and was both a valuable foil and an extension of his ID in real life. Prince wrote all their early material. The Time performed Jungle Love and The Bird, two top-drawer funk songs that featured prominently in the film and in the mid-80s dominance of the Minneapolis sound. Date, a friend and bandmate of Prince's from the early days, still looks good, and still moved smoothly through the campy, egomaniacal shtick that has served him well for decades. There was even an onstage mirror. The second half of the tribute opened with the Prince symbol projected behind the stage, a little anachronistic, since it didn't come into play until almost a decade after Purple Rain and an edited version of the opening monologue from Let's Go Crazy. Then the lights came on to reveal Bruno Mars dressed as Purple Rain-era Prince. Mars performed Let's Go Crazy. He danced. He sang. He held a guitar and seemed to be playing it. He had, as he always does, immense energy and professionalism. His effort was tremendous and admirable. Despite that, it wasn't easy to embrace Mars as Prince. For starters, his performance was at best a simulacrum. How could it have been anything else? It wasn't helped by the fact that the Grammys chose a song that is among Prince's most energetic and recognizable but not among his most emotionally complex. Let's Go Crazy is, at this point, almost a cliché. It's the Prince version of comfort food, which is a strange way to represent an artist who was not particularly interested in comfort. Of course, departing too much from Prince cliché would have been untenable. Only a sliver of the audience would have responded to a moving performance of Dark, or a punky medley of Horny Toad and Tick Tick Bang. Did the audience embrace Mars's dress-ups yet? They appeared to some degree. They danced and sang along. They knew where he was pointing. But it was also clear that he was pointing from a distance. The limits of the performance were driven home in the next commercial break, which included an ad for the Google Pixel phone in which a number of alternative soul and rock singers, including Sampha, Dear Tix John McCauley, and Wyoaks Jen Wasner, sang snippets of Nothing Compares to You, a Prince song originally recorded by The Family, another mid-80s purveyor of the Minneapolis sound, and made famous by Sinead O'Connor's towering cover version. Ragged, raw, and fully emotional, the commercial did what a highly choreographed Grammy performance did not. It let in sadness. And really, sadness is one of the necessary ingredients when thinking about Prince, whose death came far too soon, and with far too many questions. This weekend was momentous for Prince fans for another reason. His Warner Brothers catalog, which had been exclusively streamed on Tidal, returned to other streaming platforms, like Spotify and Apple Music. More people listening to more Prince music is just fine. But the utilitarian argument ignores a few things, including Prince's own wishes. He had done his deal with Tidal, and supported the service through the last years of his life, because he believed in the way that the platform rewarded artists. Whether he was right or wrong, and in online matters, he was often wrong, that's how he seemed to want it. There's also the larger question of how music weighs at this point in time. When songs are available to everyone, always, how important can they be? This is a part of larger question about the proliferation of streaming services, but it was driven home by the events of this weekend. Prince is gone. His music remains. But awards show performances and business deals that dilute his special power also remain.